Well, hello everyone, and welcome back to another character analysis for Marvel's Contest of Champions. Today, we will be having a look at one of the clone characters in the roster. Now, this character is unique from one of the ones that we've looked at in the past, but it is canonically the same individual, and they operate identically to the character that we've looked at in the past. That is Miss Marvel, and there is one other representation of Miss Marvel in this game, but it is a different character. That's Kamala Khan. We will talk about her much later on in this series, as she does perform differerly, and by that time she may have even seen adjustments to her base functionality. However, this version of Miss Marvel is the Carol Danvers version of Miss Marvel and her original superhero persona. She does later on, and is currently in the comics and even the MCU, known as Captain Marvel. And there's a lot of really interesting things that you can go into with the way that the character behaves in any of those scenarios. But for the sake of today's video, she behaves identically to the Captain Marvel classic version of the character that we looked at a couple months back. Now, I am all for having multiple iterations of a character in a game. I just really wish that they behaved differently. Now, I think that it's appropriate to leave one or the other of these characters that are identical in form and behavior. I think it's completely fine to leave one of them working the way that they're currently set up and to revamp the other one. And because Captain Marvel is the later version of Carol Danvers' superhero persona, I think that it makes more sense to adjust the Captain Marvel variant and leave the Miss Marvel version of this character to behave the way that she currently does. So let's go ahead and talk a little bit about that, and this will just kind of be a refresher of how she functions based off of what we've looked at in the past. First off, we have every attack with an 11% chance to add a Fury buff to Miss Marvel's character, and that inflates her attack by a pretty considerable margin. It actually just about gives it a 50% increase, which is a very nice buff to see over that 6.5 second time frame that the Fury buff is active. The special attack 1 deals true damage ignoring the opponent's armor rating, and passively Miss Marvel has a poison immunity which is granted to her from her Kree physiology, and that's very consistent across all variants of Miss Marvel, including the Kamala Khan version that we have active in the game as well. That's really everything that Miss Marvel has available to her, and the only other thing of note is her signature ability, which allows her to increase her attack rating by a certain percentage based off of stored power, and additionally, it allows her to partially absorb energy-based attacks, fueling into that power meter. Now, if you wanted to take some tweaks and adjustments to this character and the way they behave, I'm all for that. I think that it would be very nice to see additional perks and benefits given to the character, and one thing that I think would work really well is giving an additional benefit to absorbing those energy type attacks, because as it currently stands, you're really just kind of forced to sit there and block those attacks as they come in, whereas if you choose to do so and you are able to block those energy type attacks, I think that you should gain some sort of additional passive buff, maybe that stacks up to 5 or 10 times if you are able to mitigate the energy base attacks with a block and allow that to come in. And that can just kind of further bolster her attack and be a little bit more beneficial for trying to strategically use this character when going into those fights that do have that energy type attack bonus or abilities or whatever else it may be. Now, that's really everything that there is to talk about with this character. There's not a whole lot of other things that are noteworthy with her, and if you are going the revamp route, I think that it makes a lot more sense to focus more of the character overhaul traits that we've seen previously on Captain Marvel rather than Miss Marvel, because where this is kind of newer and she's trying to hash out the versions or the capacities of her powers and what she's able to do with that, it makes sense that the character is a little bit more bare bones and basic in their functionalities. So maybe a couple of additional abilities that allow her to gain a couple of extra buffs or change them from timed buffs to permanent or passive type buffs as well. But what do you think? Do you think that Miss Marvel should be overhauled anyway? Do you think that there are things missing from this representation of the character? Be sure to let me know what your thoughts are in the comments down below. If you enjoyed today's video, make sure that you leave a like and don't forget to subscribe for that daily variety content. That's going to be everything for me though, so I want to thank you for watching, and I hope that you have an absolutely fantastic rest of your day.